Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. We are looking at some of the Zia Yusuf stuff again today because there is more stuff going on behind the scenes at Reform UK than they are willing to admit. Some of the stuff that has come out in the past sort of 24, 48 hours has pretty much said that, oh yeah, the entire behind the scenes is in a bit of chaos. You know, Zia Yusuf basically resigning as chairman, saying, yeah, it's not worth my time anymore to make Reform UK a party of government, is quite suspicious to then suddenly come back and say, oh, I was just tired, guys. I was just tired. No, you do not say and resign publicly, giving your party leader less than 10 minutes notice, bear in mind, of this, that you are going to resign and then publicly say that it is no longer worth your time to make them a party of government. Now, if you've been following us for quite a while, you know that there has been a lot of allegations by Reform insiders against Zia Yusuf that he has basically done nothing really to, quote, professionalize the party at all. Indeed, many people have basically said that Farage brought in Zia Yusuf to make it look like, changes were going on at the party, that this democratization of the party was taking effect. To this, we've said many times, what exactly has Zia Yusuf actually done in the party? He hasn't done anything. He hasn't done anything to professionalize the party. He claimed, oh, I'm the reason why it went from 13 to 30%, but that doesn't state what he actually did within the party. If anything, that was more Nigel Farage returning to lead the party. But there you go. So we're going to have a relook at this and this article in particular, because it looks at and asks a lot of, Reform insiders what was going on at the time. Why has this resignation really, gone in there and caught Reform off guard? And I think eventually we will find out what on earth Zia Yusuf was offered to return. I have a sneaking suspicion he might have been offered maybe a MP seat at the next election. Like I say, we'll find out. But as always, some of that stuff we will find out in the months, who knows, to come. But as always, if you want to keep up with all this news and stuff that's going on, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button down below. And if you are new, hit the subscribe button as well. And of course, you can help support the channel by the Patreon page, the Buy Me Coffee link, where you can buy me coffee, the YouTube thank you button. And of course, as always, there's the YouTube membership down below. You can join as well. So let's crack on then into this. So this comes from Politics Home. The title of Inside the Shock Zia Yusuf Resignation that caught Reform UK off guard. So, Zia Yusuf's resignation as Reform UK's chairman stunned senior party figures, and it raised questions for Nigel Farage's professionalisation push. So, this was written again on the 6th, so obviously it hasn't realised, or it hasn't said, well, actually, Zia Yusuf sort of came back, although he's not back as chairman. He's now back as the head of the Doge unit, which, again, bear in mind, something I think was clearly offered to Zia Yusuf to come back. What that was, we don't know. But you do not publicly leave a party saying, yeah, it's not worth my time anymore to get them elected, and then just come back. Something was clearly offered to him. It's just what, of course. So let's get on into this. So it was only, of course, last month that Yusuf, brought in by Nigel Farage to try and help professionalise the party in its pursuit of power, declared that Reform would win over 400 MPs at the next general election, heaping praise on Farage as our next Prime Minister. And bear in mind, if Farage cannot keep a track on 5 MPs and keep them under control and stop them infighting, in a phone box, how on earth would he manage 400? that is a party that would fall apart instantly to factional infighting and all kinds of chaos. You thought the Tory infighting was bad? You thought all that stuff was bad? Try and imagine how Farage would deal with 400 MPs. That is a party that would fall apart very, very quickly. But in a now dramatic turn of events on Thursday night, giving Farage just 10 minutes warning, Yusuf announced his decision to quit as party chairman. Like I say, 10 minutes. He decided, right, I'm gone. There's your 10-minute warning. Right? There's far more stuff going on behind the scenes, and it's far more chaotic than Reform really want to admit. So Yusuf, of course, announced his decision to quit as party chairman, posting on Twitter, saying, "I no longer believe working to get reform government to get a reform government elected is a good use of my time, and hereby resign the office." Again, pretty strong statement, really, in that. Less than, of course, 48 hours later, Yusuf said he was now returning to reform, blaming, of course, the mistake of his resignation 2 days earlier on exhaustion. Oh, yeah, you were just exhausted when you said that it was no longer his belief to get a reform government elected a good use of his time. Yeah, that was just the exhaustion. Yeah, no, there's more going on than there's being claimed here, which we're going to get to in a moment. He said, of course, he would lead the party's Elon Musk-inspired Doge team, which is now pledged to eliminate waste and reform-run councils. Again, we'll be covering that next as well, because there is so little they could actually cut to do this, to try and eliminate this waste. And it's going to end up in a disaster. They're not going to end up really doing anything. And they're already paralyzing a lot of these councils already with the fact that they've pretty much cancelled all their meetings in June. Anyway, his Thursday night, of course, decision to resign came ahead now of a fresh row as it broke out in the party over the burqa ban, with Yusuf, a Muslim, calling the party's newest MP, Sarah Pochin, dumb for asking Keir Starmer, there we go, let me get it out, in PMQs, something that the party itself wouldn't do. While Farage, of course, told GB News he'd spotted the early signs that Yusuf had, quote, checked out from his role, other senior figures in Reform told Politics Home they didn't see it coming. And this is the disconnect, because there's stuff we will get see now that Farage said, oh, he saw it coming. He totally realized that, poor Yusuf was just exhausted. Meanwhile, from what you'll be seeing here, they did everything possible to try and get Yusuf back in the fold so that he wouldn't go out and do like the Sunday show and reveal just how much chaos was going on in the background of Reform UK. And it's not only that, but there's a lot of people, as we'll see in a moment, that really do not like Zia Yusuf and really do not like the fact that he has been welcomed back. Which, again, says to me, he was offered something to come back. Like, there was an offer made for him to come back. And it's what that offer was, because as you will see in a moment, it has upset a lot of insiders. So, staff, of course, in the party's Millbank HQ had, of course, no warning either. Many of them now only finding out when they actually saw the post on Twitter with the West of Westminster. Yusuf, of course, had not been seen in the party's HQ since the announcement at the time of writing, with senior figures now saying that there were no attempts to persuade the millionaire businessman to try and stay on. You can't force someone to do something they don't want to do. This now latest saga shines out a fresh light over the concerns of the party's now internal discipline and Farage's leadership style, which again is going to be chaotic, massively chaotic on that front. But I like the fact they're saying, oh, there was no attempt to try and get him back. Really? Why did he come back then? Why did he come back after saying it wasn't worth his time to get Reform elected? That's a pretty strong statement to make. Anyway, The social media abuse got to him, according to one of Yusuf's allies, and it played now a significant factor in his decision to leave, but he remains a party member. Speaking, of course, on GB News on Thursday, Farage said the constant campaign against him on Twitter, much of it coming now from Indian bots, has now perhaps made some Reform members question him, question his motives, and all of that is completely unfair. Oh, yeah, all that abuse was just coming from Indian bots, not from people in Reform UK who absolutely hate Zia Yusuf, hate the fact that he is an open Muslim, and just, want to get rid of him because they are on Rupert Lowe's side, who wanted to take the party in an even more hard right direction. So there is a open fight now. And now you've got this new one, Sarah Puchin in there. Imagine if Rupert Lowe had stayed and maybe kept his mouth shut. He might have had another ally in that. Who knows? But it's all is not, shall we say, shall we say, in Reform UK, and it is very, very obvious that the party is in a complete internal state of constant upheaval and infighting and stuff. And trust me, all this stuff will come out in time. All this stuff will come out in time. Now, this is where it gets also interesting. However, the party leader admitted that the former banker's Goldman Sachs-like mentality had rubbed some party figures the wrong way, confirming now long-standing criticism by some in the party that Yusuf could be very difficult to work with. Again, not the first time we've heard about that. Not everyone can get on with him. It's called politics, the party leader said. Yusuf, of course, takes credit for the party going from 14 to 13%. However, there are Reform figures who were keen to see him gone long before his bombshell announcement. Like I say, he's not been the most liked figure in Reform. Like I say, brought in to appear that this democratization and professionalization of the party going on hasn't really done anything to change how the party is run or anything like that whatsoever. So before his exit, one party insider told Politics Home that their recent success, which includes the major gains in the local and mayoral elections, was despite Zia Yusuf, not because of him, and that many problems in the party will now continue to fester until he is removed. Again, interesting that you get that said as well by, again, a Reform insider. There's more stuff going on here than people are saying. Another senior party figure added that it was a shame that the multimillionaire business mayor had quit, but acknowledged that despite his many strengths, his weakness now was motivating people. Just hours before his departure, the Express also report that Yusuf had now been sidelined over recent weeks in behind-the-scenes figures like Aaron Lobo taking over some of his operational responsibilities. Yusuf now only took up the chairmanship 11 months ago, but played a central role in trying to professionalize the party, setting up local branch infrastructure, and most recently, the new Doge units. The head of the party's Doge team, the tech entrepreneur Nathan Fillion, followed Yusuf now out the door in solidarity after being in the post less than a week, posting on Twitter that Liz Truss lasted longer than me at Doge. Again, very funny. I don't know if he's actually been brought back yet. Who knows at this point. However, the cost-cutting drive is, of course, expected to continue despite losing these two key figures. It's kind of like when a manager leaves a football team and one of the assistants now goes with him, said one insider. Another senior figure said that they were pushing on and insisted that the results and delivery, of course, matter. They are very keen to point to the party's result on Thursday's very critical Scottish by-election in Hamilton, which saw Reform finish close third behind the winners Labour and the SNP. Much, of course, the Reform infrastructure and branch organisation is already set up, according to party sources, who insist that Yusuf's exit will not damage the party's brand or delivery. But despite Reform efforts to now downplay its significance, Yusuf's resignation is a blow for the party, which has suffered more than its fair share of internal disputes since the general election last year. Insiders claim, however, that while, of course, the MP Rupert Lowe's recent removal from Reform had been a bitter public row, the parting between Yusuf and Reform does appear to be amicable. Again, I do not think it is as amicable as they are saying. I think that there was more going on. You do not just quit a party like that and just say, it's no longer worth my time. Like, that specific language used is highly interesting. Highly interesting. And that he said that. And I think it had all to do with that burqa ban. And the fact that you had you know, Anderson rowing behind it, Tice rolled in behind it, Farage went, and sat on the fence on it. And I think he went, this party's going in a direction I don't like, because again, he's a Muslim. If you look at the direction that they want to go, especially again, Rupert Lowe's direction, it would be very, very anti-Muslim. Do you think he's going to want to stay in the party then? I don't think so. So I think there's more going on there than there appears to be. So the party will, of course, want to show that it is at least capable of unity going forward. What is, of course, very still unclear who might replace Yusuf. Politics Home does understand that there has already been now a great deal of interest. 2 figures tipped for the top job. Of course, long-time Farage allies Aaron Banks and Andy Wigmore. Again, I think Aaron Banks might get it just for the money that he might bring to the role. The long-awaited, of course, party board, previously expected this summer, will now likely, of course, be delayed at least until there is a new chairman. The former party spinner, Gawain Talwa, told Politics Home that rather than try and get his old job back, he will be now trying to seek a seat on the party board instead. Will he? Who knows? We'll have to see what happens now. Labour and, of course, Conservative MPs were very gleeful last night at the prospect now Reform implosion, but the saga alone will, of course, knock them, of course, in the opinion polls is very doubtful. So, yeah, just more chaos, honestly. He was totally offered something to come back. I am sorry. There is no reason you say, oh, yeah, it's no longer worth my time, guys. I mean, if someone said that to you, if you're working in an organization with them or anything like that, that is like serious condemnation of that group or organization or that party in this case. You would not just magically come back, because again, apparently there's going to be a board announced this summer, so there's not going to be one owner. There's just going to be now a board, but it's still going to be, of course, a wholly owned and limited company. But there's just going to be a board of directors now. Again, a totally, quote, real political party that just happens to have a board of directors and shareholders. Anyway, as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.